So I'll unmute or sir, I'll mute myself.
Mute. We are live, Vaishali. Yeah, you can mute. Ma'am, the attendees are joining, so we will take another a minute
Yeah.
or two, then we'll start.
Yeah, sure.
So, ma'am, we'll begin the session in just in next 1 minute.
Yeah, yes.
Sure. Yes.
Is it from my end?
Sorry, ma'am.
No. I just accidentally clicked
Okay,
on something.
no problem. So, ma'am, since the attendees are already here, let us begin the session today. So,
Yeah.
a very good evening to everyone. I am Diptiman Tripathi, the Managing Director for WEFA in India. I welcome you all for today's webinar on attention to emotion, a continuation of the initiative from I'm the Best Mom. And we have been conducting and raising the awareness related to various aspects of children and we as parents. Now, today we have a different topic, and this topic is definitely going to bring a lot of insight to understand where exactly we are. So, when we share anything, like be it in our communication or when we are interacting with children or with our community, with our society, we carry our emotions. Now, this influences our life, and ultimately we carry it forward. So when it comes to uh, today's life, and when we are interacting in a social environment, let us say we as parent to our children, or maybe from a grandparents to the grandchildren, what exactly we always look forward. By default, we are so much in tune. We look forward for a good health, wealth, happiness, career, money, and we wish and give the blessing in that way to our children. And this is what we have also got when we were children, or who, even in today's life, though we are adult now. So the correct person probably who can give us the right kind of blessing or wish, or when it comes to asking the grandparents, we can get a clear answer, because they have seen the world and the change of the world in the highest order. So the world is very beautiful beyond so many things. So we are in a beautiful world, and then away from academic nourishment, studies, references, whatever we are seeing, not only in India, globally, that children are missing the empathetic behavior, and they are possessing a lot of skills, but certain skills are they are missing. And what are those? To manage the emotion. Many times we are seeing the children are exhibiting anger, hyperactivity, abuse, verbal abuse. Now, so much of exposure to the digital platform, lot of social media abuse through different channels, different email platform, or maybe when it comes to subscribing to social media communication there also. Now, why? We need to teach more than academic, probably, which will help them to develop their skills, their emotional skills for a better life, awareness of self, and how they best can connect with other people, and in a very very meaningful conversation, or maybe increase the skills of learning, probably the most important topic, which would be the socio emotional skills. So we are very much conscious when it comes to children with their academic, but it is equally very very important to understand the socio emotional skills. Now, today, for this, we are lucky to have Dr. Preeti Matre with us. Dr. Preeti comes with a huge amount of experience. She is a pediatric development and behavioral medicine specialist practicing at Navi Mumbai, and has a huge amount of experience on this field. Dr. Preeti Mhatre practice at the Tender Kids Center for Child Development at Navi Mumbai. She has completed the fellowship in learning disability and neurodevelopmental pediatrics from Lokmanya Tilak Municipal Medical College, Mumbai, with an MBBS from DY Patil University. So today, I am very happy to have you, ma'am, and I will not take much of the time of our attendees. Ma'am, over to you, and please initiate the session today.
Thank you, Diptiman, and thank you to the team of I Am Best Mom. I would first take few minutes to congratulate to being such a great concept. Like we were talking few minutes back, you know, the COVID pandemic has really made our world stand still, but at the same time, it has given us a time to think over where we actually are going, where we are actually progressing, and what is actually important to us as a human being. You know, we might have been progressing in technology, connecting people, but when it comes to an emotion, understanding of another human being, are we really progressing with support of technology, or is it causing a barrier? So let's talk over it.
Absolutely, ma'am. And before you initiate the slide, let us also ask the attendees. And my request to all the attendees, any kind of questions you have related to the topic, please put it on the Q&A section, and we will take it up towards the end of your ma'am's presentation. So with this, let me start the first question to all the attendees now. Does the society influences our emotion? Let us understand how much we are into it. I will just take another 10 seconds. A few are also responding on the chat box. I would request them to put it on the poll window. So, ma'am, I have shared the result with you. The
yeah.
100%.
Yes. So yes.
Yes, ma'am. Over to you.
God. So let me start without wasting time. And first of all, welcome all. And here we go. Right. So let's begin with the talk. So my today's talk is attention to socio-emotional development. Yes, as a pediatrician and now specialized in developmental pediatrics, I generally see parents more concerned about how the child physically growing. They are more concerned about how child is communicating. They are more concerned how the child is academically doing. They are the general queries or the concerns with which the parents come to me. And as a pediatrician, as a developmental pediatricians, we have a developmental milestone scales, which has one domain which has been called as socio-emotional milestone. So when I was running through this developmental screen with the kids, I used to find the kids of this genre, the younger kids, are coming with lot and lot of socio-emotional developmental delay. Now, are they pathological? Is there something which is concerning? Yes, it's concerning. Though it is not in pathological, it was more about the awareness which parents lacked. Many of them really didn't knew what the socio-emotional development is all about. What are the milestones, and how can they support right from the beginning? The child starts, the emotional development starts, so the social emotional development starts right when the child takes their first breath. And it was heartfelt because very few, there was a lot of less awareness. Even before the child start to communication in mode of, not only in the mode of verbal speaking, it will be more of the non-verbal also. The social development starts, the social interaction starts. So those are the domains which start even before the communication, and the parents pay more and more attention to the communication. If I'm not socially more inclined, if I do not have adequate environment, I do not get that feel or push to communicate. And so that's my whole talk is all about the social emotional development across the childhood span, right from birth to the teenage. So let's begin. What is social intelligence? In a common term, it's people skills. How well, it's an ability how well one gets along with other, and how they get them to cooperate with you. And believe me, it doesn't come any with the academics. Even if you're good at academics, social skills and social intelligence is something beyond your academic achievement. Now, there are a lot of talk about emotional intelligence, emotional quotients. There are a lot of coaching around. And yes, now social intelligence and social quotient is also picking up. So, are they same? So, social intelligence is more about interpersonal intelligence. It is more about understanding other people and getting along with them. And emotional intelligence is more about intrapersonal. It is understanding about oneself, understanding about our emotions. Though they are separate, they are complementing each other. Because if we don't know ourselves, if we do not have a control or understanding about ourselves and emotion, we won't be able to connect with other people and understand their emotions. So yes, they do complement each other, but they are separate from each other. Many of them say, so, oh, that person is introvert, that is extrovert, it's a part of personality, he can go well with other people, he's good at that, he's good at the social skills. So is the social intelligence really part of personality? No, it's one of the cluster of intelligence. According to the multiple intelligence theory by Professor Gardner, it is a part of intelligence and not a part of a personality. So now, with the understanding about intelligence and the sixth dimension, we know it is a part of an intelligence and not personality. So today we are going to focus more about the social aspect about the intelligence. It is how successfully we are able to interact with others in various contexts. Can social intelligence be learned or developed? Yes, it can be, because it's not only the skills which we can develop as we are growing up. As we are growing up, as the child are growing up, they are clean slate, so it's very easy to write up. They are experiencing new things. But yes, it's the skills which is been learned lifelong. It is the skills which we acquire when we interact with people around. We have, and we assess their behavior. We see whether we are getting the behavior or the output what we are expecting from them, and then the capability of modifying our behavior according to the other person's understanding or impact on other person is all about social intelligence. Yes, so it has been learned and can be developed over a time of a lifespan. So what is the social emotional learning It includes, first of all, very important, self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, interpersonal relationship skills, responsible decision making, and future self. So this is all about social emotional. Okay. So now I'm gonna talk more about children, how the social emotional milestones start developing in a child right from birth to the teenage, and how can a parent support each age group. Now, to start with, humans are a social beings. I think we have now, it's no better time to know in this COVID pandemic when we were really stuck up and couldn't really communicate with people in person. I'm talking about, and not about talking in. Yes, we did had that vacuum there. We did found out, it's very important to connect and meet people in person. Yes, we had that lacuna. So humans are a social beings. Newborns are pre-wired to be and social very well right from when they take a single breath. They can signal their psychological plus their physiological need. They can detect change in an environment. They are attracted to the social stimuli like the faces, the sound, the smell, the speech. And yes, they fall for the caregiver's behavior too. So this is the social environment which right from birth till the teenager child goes. First, the social environment is restricted to his immediate caregivers like mother, father, and the grandparents. Then the extended family, then the surrounding, the peer group, school, the community, and so on. So these are the stage how the social emotional development starts. First of all, for the social emotional development comes and social attention. First, the child learns to regulate his social attention and share the attention. Then, what do you mean by that? When mother comes near to feed a child, he's able to sustain the eye gaze to a mother. He looks at it. Mother looks at the child, and then he's able to sustain it. That's what we call regulate and sharing of attention. Then there she starts making noises, make a funny face, and the child responds to it. That we call as engaging and relating to the sound. Then as the child grows up, he starts speaking. So there comes a lot of two-way purposeful communication. As the child goes further, he learns about social problem solving in the basic things, right from friends to getting along with the peer group. Then as the cognition develops in a child, along with he takes his further social emotional development into creating and adding meaningful use of the ideas, and then he builds a logical bridge according to here, and he's happy to go to the outside world and start applying whatever he has learned. So let's start. So first comes infant from 0 to 1 year of age. Now there's a rapid development. As a newborn, he starts crying and he starts making sounds which are more, and yes, he has a spontaneous smile also. Those are more of non-specific. Between a span of 0 to 3 months, it becomes more and more responsive. It becomes more and more, mother can identify different type of cries. The child has a social smile. If mother smiles, the child smiles back. That comes as early as 6 weeks. So this are the first step towards the social connection. As a child, as a newborn, as an infant, the child forms with his mother. By 4 months, he starts initiating the social interaction. When he is hungry, he starts making cooing sounds. He starts making sounds. When he smells his mother, he hears his mother nearby his bed, he starts making. So that's what we call initiation of social interaction. It starts as early as 4 months. By 6 months, the child has understanding about his caregivers and the strangers. So there where the stranger anxiety kicks in. By 9 months, the child likes playing interactive games like peekaboo. So peekaboo game is one of the best game where a mother or father can teach a child about the social interaction to sustain an attention. to other person. When attention, the social attention is very important for a child to learn further steps. If he doesn't have attention, that's what we see in the clinic also, when the parents, due to various reasons, the child is unable to pay attention to mother, and that's where he stopped developing the skills in terms of social milestones and the communicative skills also. So peekaboo is one of the very nice game where the interaction is been taught and the sustain of the social attention is been taught to the kids. By 12 months, he can indicate his need by a gesture. So another milestone. Now the child not only can sustain his attention, but now with a gesture. So the communication, as the social milestones, or whether there is a social interaction, the communication plays a major role. And the communication here, we are not only talking about the language, we're talking about the non-verbal also. So from 12 months, the little child can start indicating his needs by gestures. So how are you going to support the social emotional development of the infant? You need to talk to your child. He becomes calm. Then the child is able to listen to the language. So make a lot of sounds. When the child makes a sound, you have to reciprocate the sound, because it is the primitive way of talking, the what we say a to and for communication. So the child enjoys that thing, and then he learns, oh, this is a form of communication. I'm making some sounds, my mother is making some sounds, and that's a beautiful conversation happening there, the communication happening there. Here the child is not only learning about the making sounds or paying attention, he's seeing your face and he's seeing your expression, and he's loving that. Pay a lot of attention to your child, cuddle, hold him. A lot of emotional bonds happening over there. This is how you're going to support infant age. So toddler is 1 to 2 years. So by this time, the child is quite erect. He is having control over his body. He can walk around. So here is a big milestone from infancy to toddler. Infant is relying more on your touch, your sound. Toddler is the one, he relies more on your facial expression and the gesturing and the sound what you make, or the talking part what you are going to do. That's what he's more relying on when the communication is playing role, and he's going to see that, going to copy that, and that's how his social development is going to happen. So by 12 months, the child was able to indicate his needs, but by 15 months he is going to indicate his interest. He's going to show you what interests him. Maybe it's a red car, maybe it's a flying bird, or a car around. So that's what the progress is all about. Now from need based to sharing of the interest, that's how other social development happens, right? So then he sees around the family members, how they react, how they are carrying themselves, how they are talking. So a lot of imitation skills coming up here. They start imitating their parents, the caregivers, the family members around. They look at what you are doing in the household task and want to help in a little way. It's their way of getting involved in you and getting that attachment. They actively listen to the stories. It's more about the talking part and the warmth of your voice that attracts them. By 18 months, yes. So from 1 to 2 years, 1 to 3 years, there are a lot of emotional development happening. So he's unable. So it's just a start. So he's not able to regulate. So there are a lot of temperaments. What we see, sometimes we call it as the terrible twos also, where the kids, a lot of emotional development happening around there. The regulation of the emotion is not set in, and there are new experiences what he's having with the family members, with the strangers, with when you go out. And yes, there are a lot of temperaments, but it's his way of learning things. He starts responding to laugh, though he doesn't understand what the joke was all about, but when he sees there are two people sharing a laugh, even he wants to join it. Again, a big milestone for him. By 2 years, he's quite independent. He knows about himself. I and me is the concept when he starts getting. By 2 years, you would like to play with other kids, but that is more of the parallel play. They do not understand more of the cooperative play, but they are happy sharing the toys and sitting side by side, what we call a parallel play. So again, a big milestone from the family to the child of his age. So how are you going to support the toddler of 1 to 2 age? Let him explore new things. Talk about it. He's gonna touch everywhere, gonna feel everywhere. Give him words. The more language you develop, more it stimulates the social it acts as a social stimulation for him. Let your toddler's language develop. Encourage him by letting him help himself to dress, to feed himself. That comes a lot of self-awareness. This way you are going to promote it. Take him out, talk about people, talk about the surroundings. Because that's a very curious toddler. He wants to know everything. Talk, talk, talk. That's what we tell our parents. Talk, because if you want a child to talk, you need to talk, because who else is going to teach your child a language? And it is more not about sitting across and teaching a language. Language is always an experience based. Whenever the child is experiencing something, is holding something, he has a maximum attention to that object. That time label that object, it gets reproduced fast. Then comes the secondary toddler age, 2 to 3 years. Now kicks in imaginary play. They have a lot of imaginations. They imagine sword. They imagine the remote as an the mobile phones, and then they want to imitate parents. Because they have, that's what they have seen everything in 1 to 2 years. So a lot of imaginary play happening. So a lot of social activities which they have seen around. They're going to imagine. They're going to play with you in the same way. They're going to play with the doll the way you have taken care of the similar way they would like to take care of the doll. They feed them. They go to sleep. So it's a skill, the social skills, how they, from the parents, that gets transferred to their toys. It's a beautiful thing to happen. And by 2.5 years, the child starts more interacting, more understanding about the other child. By the time your toddler starts speaking into words or small short phrases, so he can communicate, he can play with a child. They have a small pretend play, sort of like a kitchen or something, and then they enjoy the cooperative play, which gets more developed by 3 to 4 years. Yeah, by 3 years, we expect a toddler to dress, feed, and toilet independently, or maybe at least initiate training those things. So how are you gonna support the toddler of 2 to 3 years? Be part of his pretend play. They enjoy a lot. Have a small tea party with him, because that's the way they learn the social skills, and believe me, they love it. And it really doesn't take much time. Just a tea party on a Sunday for half an hour is enough for a child. Then explore, take him out, explore, talk about things, talk about how others are feeling, talk about the emotions, talk about actions, what they are seeing. Then start playing a simple train chain, like parading, where he has to follow somebody, or he has to lead somebody. That is also a small social chain where they have to follow a certain rule. So again, a social rule has been introduced to him. There's one leader, another is a follower. Sometimes roles changes. You can be a leader, they can be a follower. A simple rule base like hide and seek, a small simple rule. So this is how he understands about rules. Certain things can be played with rules and not a free play anymore. Encourage him to tell his name, his age. Praise a child, give a lot of attention. And here is the time when the terrible two really kicks in. There are a lot of behaviors. What we generally tell parents is pay attention to the positive behaviors. Give reinforcement there and there. Praise it. Oh, I like it. I like it. You did that. I liked it. You waited for this thing. So it's very likely, if you're gonna give the praise at that time or positive reinforcement, it is going to they keep in mind, because this is the age when they are learning about behaviors. They really don't know what is good behavior and what is bad behavior all about. They know behavior, it is their way of doing things, and there are a lot of things happening out there, so they actually really don't know. We are the one we label and we get agitated. So rather paying more attention to the tantrums and all, it's always better to praise the positive behaviors and ignore the behaviors which we do not want. Just ignore them. Then they understand, because any kind of response you give, the behavior is going to be multiplied. It's going to be in future continued. So this is how the child learns to behave, and this is what the starting is all about. They understand more about the good and bad behavior by 3 to 5 years. And yes, teach your child more acceptable way of asking things, or whenever he's upset. If he throws a tantrum, maybe it's in the social setting. Again, in a social setting, we do not expect a child to scream, but in a contrary, we also scream at that time, and then what the child feels, it's normal to scream, because even I'm screaming, my parents are screaming on top of the mic. So there comes and a nice um, what do you say, fight, whose voice is high. So better ways to be calm, be cool, be composed at that time. Let that face go up, be there, don't give any uh, reactions to it, or just ignore it. The child will calm down, and when he's calmed down, when he's at home, when he's in good mood, you can always say, rather focusing, I didn't like the way you did had a temper tantrum, you can always show, we were out, I expect if you wanted something you could ask me. So that's a way. You should always give an acceptable way of behavior, or acceptable way of asking. So that's what the skills later on also they carry on when they grow up. So it's no point shouting in your child, because that's what they learn. If I shout, the other person has to shout on the more talk. Okay. So now comes our preschooler. Now he's ready. He's happy with his family. Now he has a small group of friends. It's comfortable, and now this world is opening up for him. By 3 to 5 years, yes, now he's all big, going himself by school. So he should know himself. By the time he knows himself, he's an individual person. He can tell his name, he can tell his gender. Yes, he has his interests, he has his favorite toys, he has his favorite stories. A lot of fantasy play coming in, because that's where it's a beautiful phase. What we say, a storyteller. They mix up everything, and sometimes it happens, a lot of things, they mix up their stories with the reality, and they make up their own stories, but it's a growing thing for them. But it's a beautiful phase. And then 5 to 6 years, they pay attention, they listen, they follow simple rules and direction, because back then the child has gone to the school, he's now into more the disciplined environment. He spends some 2 to 3 hours in a disciplined environment where the teachers are there, where the kids are there, and then they learn more about good behavior, bad behavior, how important it is to so that's the time when they understand simple rules and they follow, and they sometimes try to test us also. And he would like to spend more time with his peer groups by 5 to 6 years. So how are you going to support the little preschoolers? Kick in the self-independence skills by time. He has to help you in a simple course, like a small, like picking up his stuff, helping you tidy up the room, folding the clothes, and all the simple course he need to help, because that's what self help skills we need to encourage in your child. Help him to play with other kids, give him lot and lot of opportunity, not only in the schools but when he comes back. Play is one thing where the child learns lot and lot of skills. It's not only about the language, it's the social development, emotional development, the physical development. Everything comes within play, and the play forms a big part of a child's life. So yes, now which is missing in our kids, and let me tell you, the computer games and those are not play. Play is something which we do with other person or other kids. So yes, encourage your child, because that's what it's needed, and help them learn the value of sharing, caring, and the friendship. Be clear and consistent what you're disciplining. What we always tell parents is, Practice what you preach, because the child is not going to hear, child is going to see you. So yes, practice what you preach. And help him solve his problems. If he's upset or something, somebody took his toy or he had a small fight, help him resolve, help him think over it, what has happened, help him to understand others' emotion, help him to understand point of view of others. So this is how you develop the understanding and decision making skills. This is a very early stage where all those things start in. So rather putting and being more judgmental and screaming at your kid, rather spend some time and say, what do you think? What was second? What do you think? And then giving him the options. This is how we can do, and let him pick up and give reasoning. So this is where his reasoning skills increases, his social skill increases, his decision making skill increases. So it starts from so early. And whenever there's an opportunity, give him a limited number of simple choices, like what he's going to wear, what he wants to eat, because that gives sense of importance to a child. Plus, he feels some worth it and the decision making. So that's what they really enjoy doing that. And 3 to 5 years is where there are a lot of individualistic developing in a child. So give a limited number. That doesn't mean that you have to go with the flow, but limited number. Yeah, ये आपको खाने में है, so what, pick up from that, or the choice he has to make before what you're going to have at dinner. So these are the things. So limited number. So this is how you want to develop. Now, middle child age is 1. Now by this time the child understands rules, relationship, quite full understanding. He's more into cooperating with you, paying attention, not only with the you, but the society in terms of his peer groups and the schools. He takes on the family responsibility and course more, actually what we have seen, into 6 to 8 years. He may have a best friend also by this time. And this is the age where the first social group is able to form, in terms of he would prefer kids of same gender, same age, same interest, and same ability. Again, this is the important skills when you grow up. We generally have this a small group, so it starts by 6 to 8 years. They have this capability of forming a group. So how you are going to support 6 to 8 year old kid? Affection, recognize his accomplishment, develop a sense of responsibility. Yes, again, he need to help in your household chores, setting a table, talk to his friends, get involved into his school friends, what he's looking for, what is his day look like, what are the things he's looking for. Teach him to respect others and help people in need. Set a small goals for him. And now goals, we are not talking about more of academics, but other goals also. Apart from it, the small goals help him to achieve that. Set a time. You can give him a timeline, can give him the prerequisition which will be required to achieve the small goals, and then praise, because that's what the self-development. So here we are teaching him, yes, how to set a goal for yourself. Some goals might be socially related, where the cooperation of other peers or other friends or the teacher is needed. So how is you are going to get along with them to achieve your goals? And then praising him gives a sense of pride to that child, and that's how the social development happens. Help your child to learn be patient with others. Let them go. If some child wants to go ahead, let him go. It's always okay to wait back and let other child go. So yeah, help them to learn patience, because again, one of the important skills needed when you have a social interaction or social development when you are an adult, you need to be patient. So it has to start as early as 6 to 8 years, when they have understanding about patience. And yes, encourage him more about thinking about the possible consequences if the child has gone wrong, rather focusing on the behavior. Talk about the consequences, what has happened to him, because by this is the time when they really understand what is rule about, what is good behavior, what is accepted out of them. Talk about the possible consequences, and then you can always later on encourage him to think about the consequences before the child acts. So take every behavior of a child as a learning opportunity. It's not always the child is going to follow a rule book, or is going to follow the way you want it. But if something has happened which is not acceptable, take it as a learning opportunity, and rather focusing on the things which has been gone. Focus more on how you are going to improve your child and what has led to this thing. More of understanding, self understanding and decision making power you develop in your child, the more it becomes easier for him later on when he goes into teens to think about what are the possible consequences of my actions. So it needs to be starting from a childhood and not when the child goes into teens. Make a clear rules, stick to them, because this is a time when the discipline needs to be kicked up. Now, by saying discipline, I do not mean discipline as a punishment, but discipline to help him to be more organized, more responsible person. And yes, again, practice what you preach. That is very important. Do fun things together there as a family, because this is a time when the child is enjoying the family, and he is having the social exposure in form of schools and paid also. But still there, till there it is in an equal ground, it's in an equal ground. But then later on the other part is going to take more importance. So this is a time when we can teach the value of family, being together, and making him understand this is a family, this is going to be a safe zone for you, and later you're going to explore your whole world. But yes, the family is there. So yes, a lot of fun things need to be done together, like everything what we do. Praise good behavior, always praise good behavior, rather focusing on the behavior which we is unacceptable. Praise good behaviors, because that's the thing what the child is looking at, and then there's a chances that it is going to develop in the future. And encourage him to solve his own problem whenever he has a disagreement. Discussion, it's always better, you can always discuss. Okay, let understand your child's emotion. What does he feel about that whole event? What has gone wrong? What is his perspective? If it is in a right track, we can always have a supporting hand to it. If it is going off track, we can always give certain insights toward it. And it has to be done without being judgmental. If the minute you start getting judgmental, and believe me, even if you're going to be judgmental towards his friend, he's not going to like it, he's not going to share with you. So rather being judgmental, just let him explore his own emotions, what he thinks about it, and help him solve his problem, and you be a supporting parent towards it. Then comes the middle childhood, 6 to 11 years. Now the peer groups take a lot of importance. You know, my friend, my things, and a lot of peer pressure happening. They become more and more about their own bodies, how they look, and many of them the puberty starts approaching, and a lot of things happening out there. Yes, and increasing responsibility and decision making skills also increases by this age. So how can a parent help a child with 9 to 11 age? Get involved with his friends, because until unless you do not know where your child, with whom he is, what is accomplishing, talk to your child about his friends, what he wants to achieve, what is school's achievement, what are the challenges he is facing, and ask him, how can I help you? And be actively involved in your, it has to be a smooth transition. Always right from beginning, if you have seen my parenting tip, the first tip is talk to your child. The communication has to be there always, because as your child goes more into teens, more he's going to get drifted out of from the family towards the society or the family and the peers. And if he's in habit of talking to the parents and sharing everything without getting a fear of getting judgmental, then it is going to help when the child is going to be in teens. So yes, you need to talk to your child, see what he is doing, what friends he's been with, what the challenges he's meet the teacher, see, talk to your teacher, what your child's strengths are, what he likes to do, because the teacher are the one who also see a different aspect of your child altogether. You see your child in the school, she sees in the school, she sees in him in a social setting, what he does, how does he react to the the difficulties or the challenges he faces, what he likes, and all those things. The teacher gives a lot of valuable insights. So this is what you can just not only talking about the academic achievements when you meet a teacher. It's really important to know about your child's emotional development and his strengths and difficulties in the social skills too, the social environment. Encourage your child to join a social group, a community group. Help him volunteer or small charities. A lot of schools do a lot of activities. Let them be a part of it, because more he be part of the social things, he meet people, the talking skills, the get adapting to the need of other. These are the skills they develop when you encourage your child to participate. And participation is more important than the outcome. That's the underlying thing. Help him understand the sense of wrong and right. In a subtle way, you can always start putting across, because this is the age where the child is still with you and now gonna explore the whole world, and there are a lot of risky things which might he like to indulge you just because of peer pressure. So you can always talk with your child, these are the things what people do, whether it is right or wrong. Let you develop sense of right and wrong. So whenever you are not around and he comes in a situation, he knows this is wrong. It's not that my parents said or something. It's what he feels from inside. When he feels from inside, it's right or wrong. There, where he takes a stand for himself. So that's what you need to develop the skills by 9 to 11 years. And sense of responsibility has to be there. Being a part of a family, he has to share certain sense of it's a family. Everything need to everybody the work, the household tasks need to be divided among everybody. And a few of money saving and spending skills can also be taught at this age. And meet family of your kids' friends. Get involved. Be more social. It's a nice, a good social group which you can form with your kids' friends, family too. Respect your child. Help him respect other. Encourage him to help others. Then teach him if somebody misbehaves with you or is disrespectful, how are you going to take it? So because now we know the child's horizon for the social thing is going to increase. He's going to have a lot of experiences. So talking beforehand helps your child to be prepared for all kind of things. So if somebody bullies you or talk disrespectfully or comment about you in a bad way or pulls you down, how are you going to handle it? Whom are the people whom you can approach when you are in difficulty? So those are the things which you can always talk to your child and help prepare him for the coming future. Help him set his own goal. Encourage him the skills and abilities required. So this is a time when they really look at the future. By 9 to 11 years, they know they have a lot of ambitions. I want to be this, I want to be that. So that time you take up, oh, you want to be this? So this is what you are going to be. Yes, we are not talking more about technical part, but yes, help him to explore his goals more, encourage the skills and abilities in a smaller way. This is how the self development occurs, and then he gets that sense, yes, I'm important, my goals are important, and hence the communication between the child and parents increases. And yes, talk to your child about the behaviors or the situations what he's going to face when the adults are not around, when only the peer groups are there. Are certain things which might go wrong. How are you going to deal with that? So talk freehand with them and praise the accomplishment what they, and then your praising should be like, I'm proud of you. Since develop that, because that's what is needed in this genre when the kids are going more into virtual and relying more on to the likes what I get on those virtual world. It's the responsibility of a parent. It's very, very important for a parent to make that child understand his worth, his skills, his capability, because minute he starts understanding about himself, he's not bothered what other people is saying. That's what is important skill which we need to develop, and that's what gonna form base when he gonna use more of the social emotional skills into his professional life. Yes, and now as the puberty hits in, there are a lot of emotional, there will be emotional outbursts, there are a lot of physical changes, and then they acquire a lot of informations which are not scientifically appropriate. So why not talk to it in the simpler way? You can always take a help about the from the professionals if you feel that something need to be tapped from the teachers, because they know how to talk with the how the child of that age group understand best. Communicating, giving knowledge is very important about the physical change, the emotional change. Because sometimes they might feel frustrated. Oh, I'm not more patient about. I just have that emotional outburst that upset my friend and all those things. So you can always talk to them about uh, the pubertal age, not the intricacies, but at least the part of it. It's a growing age now. You're growing up, so a lot of things which will be, will be like shooting up. So how to take care of it, and don't feel guilty about it, and all those things. Be affectionate and honest with your child, and be as a family. Now comes your young teen, 12 to 14 years. There's a great drive of independence, and now he's more committed to his peer group, and he might get engaged into a risky behavior because that's all hormones kicking in, and then there are a lot of things happening out there, and the understanding about the consequences sometimes mask that. So they do happen, and they have this like a small social groups. There are a lot of breakups happening out there, the formation of groups, and so in short, the peer group is the major chunk in this young teen age. And he has better capability now, inbuilt capability now to cope well with the stressful experiences, and now he's more and more independent to take his decision. So how are you going to support your young teen? Be honest, be direct with your teen. Do not hesitate to talk about a sensitive subject before you touch the sensitive subject. There are a lot and lot of materials available. You can talk to the professionals, you can talk to the teachers, how to talk about a sensitive subjects to your growing kids or your young teens. But please do talk, because you are the only one who's going to give them a right information and help them not indulge into any kind of risky behavior. And a risky social group too. Meet your teen friends. Who are they? What is their interest? What's your child interest? And help your child make healthy choices. Again, right from the beginning till now, the decision making capacity is important. What you need to put in your child, because you are not going to be omnipresent in your child's life throughout. And as the child he grows up, you cannot. So developing the decision making skills is one of the best things you can do with your child. Help him make the healthy choices for him. Respect your child's opinion. Listen to him thought and feel. Make him feel validated, because that's the age when they're more rebel. And if they do not feel they are you are validating their feelings or thought, they're not going to come and talk to you. And yes, there will be certain conflicts he wants to do in a certain way. That time we tell parents, be clear about goal and expectations from your young teen. Tell him, this is what I'm expect. Let him go his own way. So that's the way, that's the age why the conflict occurs. They want that independence. So give them that independence, but be very clear, because these are the goals. These are the goals of good behavior. These are the goals. These are the rules and regulations. As a family, you have to follow. Rather it be hygienic or the sleeping or the academics, anything, or the social thing. But goals and expectations are very clear. You can go your way, but ultimately this is the thing. So avoid the conflict. Let the teen has his own privilege about doing things or achieving certain things in a goal, because this is where he is also exploring his own potential. So we need to promote that too. Then comes a beautiful teenager, 15 to 17 years. So here the extra schools, extracurricular work becomes a central focus. He might have a lot of caring and supporting relationships apart from the family. He might indulge into a nice romantic relationship, which is no harm at all. We need to know. They need to explore that aspect too. Be vigilant, be acceptable, because that's how the child communicates with you, and you can help your child if he's going in a wrong way. he would like to participate in a communicate. He demonstrates a lot of resilience now. There are a lot of stresses around. He's the one now. He can relate to it. He can uh, revert back soon if the stresses. He's better at handling the stresses now. And the independence of decision making skills have also increases by this. So how are you going to support the teenager? Pay attention to his behavior. Very important. If you feel your child depressed, sad, not talking, because this is an age where there are a lot of things happening out in the world, and the child sometimes might not be open up. So pay very careful attention. Now, parents do feel, if I talk about suicide or depression or the sadness, the child might get a feeling about it, or might indulge into something. Rather, it's opposite. If you talk to them, they feel somebody, the reliable or the one, and they might connect with you more beautifully. So do not feel hesitant if you feel a slightest change in your child's behavior or his daily routine, whether it might be a sleeping habit or eating habit, because those are the things which are the early markers for something going on in a child's mind. So you really need to have be more vigilant to what's happening to your teen. So pay attention to it. Show interest in your teen's daily life, his school activity, extracurricular activities. Encourage him, and not only about the academics, but his extracurricular interests too. Help him volunteer in the community. Maybe it's a society thing, something happening in your society as good as a cleaning thing. Let your teen help it. It gets a lot of sense of about giving to the society. That's the skills also need to be developed. As a family, as the self, we are doing things, but yes, we have to give up to the society also, helping, encourage. So develop that skill too. Giving up to the society, helping, being a volunteer to the activities. Compliment your team of the efforts and accomplishments. They crave a lot for compliments at every age. If you want to encourage the behavior, encourage the skills, compliment, and show a lot of affection. Spend time together. Respect your child's opinion, because now the individualistic is really kicking in. He wants to do things. So respect your child's opinion until unless it's not concerning you. Then created opportunities where he can make his own judgment. Like, for example, he's indulging into more of our social media or the chatting. It's no fun when you're going to stop it. It is not going to stop it. It's out open. It's his world. The virtual thing is now open. It's there. It's everywhere. The child are getting used to. So rather restricting it or completely denying it or stopping your teen from doing it, rather teach your child what is good, what is not good, what to post. Make him social media, what you say, what are good, like how we teach when we go to certain, like here's a small kid, when you go, we are going to your mama's place, some place, you have to be quiet, you have to be smile, you have to be responsive. So this is what we teach. Now there is a whole world about virtual world, which is a social, completely different. Many of the parents still do not understand what it's all about. So for those parents, please get yourself acquainted, understand what that whole world is about, and guide your teen what post he can put, how to make a decision, who are the friends, what kind of activities he can indulge into, and what kind of impact will it have on him plus the family. So this needs to be talked to your child too. So responsible behavior, responsible social media behavior too, and obviously the other teen habits like the sexual activities or drugs or romantic relationships, alcohols, all those are the teen problems. Yes, they are seen in India too. It's nothing like only the Western countries are affected. In India too, it has been affected. We just feel hesitant and we want to be naive about those problems. But please pay attention to that and talk to that to your teen. No, okay, now the whole thing what I talked about was the social, environmental, the emotional, the social environment. And now as a parent, what we know, social environment is the one which is like family, friends, schools, community, and then the professional and all those things. So this was all my real world challenges, understanding about the emotions, how to interact and all those things. But now there's one more thing which is added to us is a virtual world challenge, which the modern era parents are facing. Here, the rules about social interaction, the responses what we get is completely different. Though my talk is not, it's beyond my today's talk, but I wanted to put in the thought into you. The whole virtual world is different. The whole social media started kicking in from 1996. What we call the kids who are born after 1996 are Gen X, what they label them. Now, what's happening out there? Why are we so worried about it? Whole purpose of social media was what? It was to connect with the people whom you cannot connect on your day-to-day basis, right? It was so fun to see your friends, to see what's happening, your school friends, your college friends, your extended family members who are not staying around, not seeing. It was fun. But now more and more people are diving into virtual world and getting disconnected from the real world. And here what we see, what I was talking about to start with my lectures, where we see a lot of teens, a lot of young kids, of course, they post certain things, they write a big paragraphs, which I never understand how good, beautifully they write, and I'm like, wow. And when they come to on a real social setting, there where they really get stuck up. They don't know, they're just on their phone, and they're more happy because what they feel, pseudo feeling what they get, because they are not judging. They have been not getting judged and all those things, but it's not true. The virtual is not true. There are a lot of things, a lot of peer pressures, and it's nearly impossible for us as parent to track a virtual world of your child. So rather empower your child in making a good decision, self-understanding, self-awareness, because we are seeing a lot of depression and behavioral concerns with the kids who are born after 1996. So what has happened in the 1996? So there's a social media kicking in, the modernization happening, people not going, the kids not going anymore into the ground. If we look we have grown up, we had a lot of social plays like Gilli Danda, and even the simple Ringa Rosing, hide and seek. They had, it was our social group. People had, the kids of eyes also had a lot of behavioral, emotional things. We knew how to connect and all the things. So it was needed for a child's social development to be happening, which has really gone missing. And the virtual world has kicked in now, where they many a times only indulge into this emojis, and they send all those beautiful emojis rather, but not really feeling about the emotions. They can beautifully write a good passages, but really can't connect. So no, that's a big virtual world challenges happening. So a quick tip coming here for our parents, what you can do is, as your child is growing, have lot of outings. Get him into good real friends. Make him understand what the real world is all about and what virtual world is all about. How does it feel? Because ultimately human is a social being. The minute he gets that attached to that warmth, that emotion, connecting to the friends, the real friends, it helps them to differentiate the emotions or the positive reinforcement they're getting from the virtual world, and they might not get more inclined or more carried away with this virtual. They won't be more bothered about what likes and what comments they are getting on this virtual world. They might be more happy with the friends around. So it's very important for our parents, especially this generation parents, to as a child is growing, be more focused how your child is growing up as socially, what friends he's into. Let him have a group of it, let him have an outing. You also have your own social group. Have a fixed timing in a month or a weekend where the social outing is happening, which we ourselves are nowadays not doing much. And hence the kids are going more into virtual world. Now it doesn't affect us because we have seen a just of real world. We have played in a mud, we have played with the friends and everything. So we really ultimately when we are depressed or we have certain friends, we have certain people, real people, those people have not seen that world. And we really have to create now opportunities for your child to be into this social world of family, extended family, and the peer group. So please do promote that, because again it is very very important for your child to have that sense which nowadays the kids are missing. So take home message: talk to your child. The first talking is more about the teaching about the language and communication. Later on it is more about the communication, because out of blue if you're going to start talking to your teen, he's not going to talk to you. So if you develop a habit right from a very young age, talking, sharing your emotions, sharing your experiences, that goes long way. Get involved in your child's world, encourage him to not be judgmental about them. Practice what you preach. The rules and regulations for family has to be followed by parents and other family members too. Empower your child with right decision making, because you are not going to be present everywhere, especially the virtual world, which is coming as early as 6 years now. What we are seeing, they're having the social media account, and it's virtually impossible to track what your child is going to do on the virtual, whom is he meeting. So empowering your child with right decision making is going to make him go a long way. Stay real in sense, in real world and real self. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Preeti. It's wonderful hearing you today.
Oh, thank you.
And I would request all the attendees, if they have any specific question, they can ask ma'am and put it up on the Q&A section. Now, ma'am, I was going through very much in detail and hearing you, and let me start from the last slide, probably, or the last but one, when you said about the real world and the virtual world, and connecting from the first slide to the last. Probably we have never ever thought this is going to be such a big necessity, or maybe as a parent, we have never thought to have the module, as I could see, starting from newborn to 6 months to 1 year, and breaking it down from early school or preschool, then coming to the teenager, adolescent, and the entire phase. Now, this parenting tool, or maybe understanding more as a parent, uh, you are narrating, and I do understand and accept all this communication is coming after lot of research, and this research is happening not only in India, globally,
Yes.
and which is very very shocking as well. Uh, if we refer to CDC, they say the suicidal rate has increased multiple times, and it is more than 57% in comparison to 2007. Now, why I'm bringing that? Because this is a very, very sensitive topic, and then it is very important as a parent to understand, because we are never have gone through this kind of parenting, or maybe when we were kids. You have referred to 97 with the Generation X, and we as a parent raising the kids who are more in Generation Z, and who are going to be around a 2 billion population by 2025, and who are going to build the world. And very important to understand, the virtual world is a very tiny part in the real world. But very, very unfortunately, we have given the virtual world the importance, and we are behaving as if we are born for the virtual world, but the real world is outside. So even it is very, very important as a parent to learn. We can only coach somebody when we have the authority.
So I want to add here, I want to add really, as a pediatrician, I want to add how the screen time is impacting. Now, as you have seen the development, so from 1 to 3 years is a crucial age where the child is now quite erect. He has an erect posture. He can cruise around. What he's gonna see? He's gonna see beautiful things what you have kept home. He's gonna interact. He's gonna see people, see faces, see emotions, see their talking happening. He wants to be part of it. And what are we doing? We are giving him a screen time. We are giving him a computer and laptop and deriving the natural stimulation or environmental stimulation about the social, the start of a child, the understanding of the social and environment right from the beginning. And then we expect that as a child grow up, he should understand. He has missed those clues, you know, so that's what impact is now happening. And yes, we really have to talk on it.
Absolutely, ma'am. And with this, I would request, yes, there are a few questions are also here. And ma'am, you can also see it. Different situation, because India, we also have families who are living with a joint family and with difference of nature and nurture, because they follow a different principle of, because when there is a mixed generation in the same environment, the opinion also differs, and that also affect the child. And sometimes probably too much of structured life also affect the child to grow in a very disciplined, or because we don't want to policing, which you have also said in one of these slides. So how to manage?
So here we have to understand about, now you have asked me more about the joint family versus a nuclear family and more discipline happening out there. Yes, now joint family has one advantage here is they're exposed to lot of people. So more people, more style of communication, more style of emotionally handling themselves, the style of social interaction also changes, you know, accordingly the kids do learn. So whenever you want to discipline, so here there are two aspects. One, the child gets a lot of exposure from other family members, so he's quite more equipped compared to the child growing in a nuclear family. And when it comes to be the parenting style and disciplining the child, everyone has to be on a same platform. Absolutely. Everyone has to be in a same platform. Practice what you preach. There has to be rules and regulations for each and every family members. It has to be more practical oriented, more discussed. Now, when the child is growing up, when he's a small, less than 3 or 4 years, or rather less than 6 years, he's going to follow what you say. But later on, after 6 years or so, when his domain increases, he has peers, then they do talk about what's happening in their family, what's happening, what is the discipline, then they compare and everything. Here, when we reason out your child, when you reason out why it's happening, involve them in a decision making. You know, involve them, talk as a family. For when you are setting the rules, take his inputs also, make him feel self-worth and involved when you make a rule for a family. The rules are not for him, rules are for whole family. It gets more productive, and it's the one thing which is going to go a long way. That's why. Yes. Hope I answered your question.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And how we can identify the children's emotion? I think this is a very, very, very open-ended question, because every statement of our carries an emotion.
Emotions, yes.
And when it comes to addressing a specific emotion, I think this is the question.
So it's a beautiful question asked by Jayanti about how to identify emotion, because I think that's the right way to do it. Because as a parent, we are more focused on the behavior part. You know, mere bachche ne aise kiya, I'm so worried about it. Rather, focus on the emotion or the reason behind that behavior, and help him identify the emotion. When we talk more about the EQs, like if there's a temper tantrum, not necessarily temper tantrum will always mean that your child is angry or upset. It can be as thing is, he want to ask something, he want to communicate, he's upset or he's uncomfortable with the situation, or maybe he's forced to do something which he's lacking the skills. So that's where you start labeling the emotions. When there is a temper tantrum, identify what situation has that temper tantrum occurred, identify what it is. So you can, oh, are you sad? Are you upset over that? Oh, I thought, there will be a different way of doing this. So this is how you start labeling your child's emotion. So now emotion is completely a big spectrum. From right from the Stone Age to now this age, the emotion has gone. Like there were first only five, the very primitive three emotions to begin with from a Stone Age, but then the spectrum has increased. So I help your child identify emotion, label it, because minute the labeling happens, and then reason it out. That's a better way to handle the situation.
Absolutely, ma'am. And when it comes to dealing with emotion, and it's more like understanding more how to teach or about the empathy, or maybe how we can regulate that emotion in the right direction. And maybe that could, as I think,
So that's what even like
yeah.
When we talk more about, like today my talk was more about SQ, the social quotient, but when we talk emotional quotient is one of the different topics altogether. But the basic what I know about EQ is help your child explore his emotion right from the beginning. What we use, oh, you're not supposed to be angry, don't do that, you're not supposed to, don't you let him explore.
Yeah.
So not, that's what I said, not every anger is anger per se. He might be sad, he might be upset, he might be discomfortable. Let him explore his emotions, help him label it, understand reason why he behaved, then teach the right way of behaving. That's how the emotional development or emotional EQ goes on. That's the whole basis of it.
Correct. So self-awareness and self-independence is equally important, not only for you as a parent, but for the child. So as a parent, we have a lot to do, guys. So I'm sure we need to learn and understand how the whole world is evolving, and maybe as a
yes, accept the change, get yourself empowered with the knowledge of where the world is going. Don't be naive, understand your child world, and help him prepare for upcoming future.
Absolutely. And today's time, the bigger pandemic probably is a concern for the parents towards enabling their mental health in a most beautiful manner, because that is what is going to make them more resilient, more meaningful of their contribution to the world also, as well as when they are growing. Be a part of them, as your last slide says. Talk to them, be a part of their journey, and be a friend, be a coach, and understand more in detail. We agree there is a curriculum available for the child for academic, be it in any specific domain like a CBSE or ICSE or maybe a board or international curriculum. But we do agree there is very less curriculum available for a parent. So when we are raising the children from zero age to the adolescent, and by the time they are into their adulthood, it is we who need to learn and adopt many things. So we are into multitasking. So we will be continuing doing that. So I'm sure a lot of queries, lot of the subject we have addressed in the last few months' time, involving the word called emotion. So all of you are requested, if you want to, if you have missed out any of the session, we have captured a lot which will help every parent while raising their children in the different phase of their life. So you are most welcome to visit I'm the Best Mom, which is our initiative to make and we have been addressing currently on emotion. And beyond that, there is another question in the box. So, and this is related to the online classes and the digital exposure of the children for their eyes, which is not pertinent to the current to the today's session. So yes, how the question, let me read it out for all. In this pandemic situation nowadays, children is more exposed to mobile. So how to take care of eyes? So we had a session from one of the very reputed doctor who is pediatric ophthalmologist. He has given beautiful tips how to manage the children eyes during this pandemic and more in the digital exposure. So please visit to our Facebook site, and there is a beautiful video is there. You can subscribe. And
Okay. Here I would like to add one thing.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not an expert in an ophthalmology, but a quick tip as a developmental pediatrician for the parents, avoid mobiles, because mobiles is more into the self and isolated thing. Have a desktop rather or a laptop in an area which is a common area like a living room. Here you can really tap on the activity what your child is doing indirectly, rather it is not in a direct way like indulging into its privacy, but yes, you have an eye on it. So that's the quick tip coming here. Avoid mobile as far as possible.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I'm sure this is also going to help a lot, because we have to continue with this kind of environment maybe for a few more months or maybe a longer time. So that will help. And we try to do a lot of initiative, and which is more for children engagement. A lot of thing is also revolving around child wellness. So, ma'am, with your permission, we are also doing yoga for children. We are just beginning another session of learning French. So we are beginning it on 23rd of this month. So, would request all the attendees, if their kids are interested to learn, please subscribe. These are all complimentary from I'm the Best Mom. And we are having a story session, yoga session, and a lot of information coming from experts like you, and which is definitely going to step a lot, or this is going to influence a lot while they are raising the children. So we will continue with all this initiative. And Dr. Preeti has said today, she has just touched upon the age and what can be done. And I'm sure this is a huge content you are, ma'am, talking. And in course of time, we will definitely seek your presence in our platform. And we would be looking forward to see you, ma'am. And today, thank you so much for sparing your valuable time with us. We are extremely happy having you here. And yes, let me quickly have some more question. If there is, yes, how best we can register? Yes, ma'am, you can just register yourself at I'm the Best Mom. You will get a notification by email and SMS, and we will keep sharing. And this particular recording session will also be available for all of you at the I'm the Best Mom site. And any feedback, you are most welcome to contribute, so that we will also improve on those. Ma'am, thank you so much once again for your valuable time, and looking forward to see you soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. Good night.
Good night.